The Wichita State Shockers begin their second swing through the valley tonight, hoping to take care of some of the business they left unfinished the first time through. And a prime example for you this evening, the Bulldogs of Drake University. And from Levitt Arena, a pleasant good evening to you all. Mark Allen and Tom Heaps with you once again tonight here on the Shocker Sports Channel. And Tom, I would imagine that if someone would have come to us a while back and said, hey, predict the standings at the halfway point of the Valley season, well, probably you and I would have picked Bradley #1, as most people would have. I don't think we would have picked Drake #2, and I don't think we would have picked the Shockers last. But that's the way they stand going into the ball game tonight. And for that reason, this is a big ball game for these two teams, but for two very different reasons.
Right, the two teams are headed in totally different directions. Drake has won 4 in a row. Of course, the Shockers, everyone knows, have lost 8 in a row now. The only number that 4 means anything to the Shockers. The last time they won was on January the 4th against Creighton. So it's two totally different situations. Drake trying to sustain what they've been able to build up, and the Shockers, of course, trying to break out of this terrible streak that they've been on.
As we mentioned, this begins now the second time through the Valley. These two times have met once before this season. The game in Des Moines, won by the Bulldogs by a final of 54-47, as you might remember. And that ball game began to establish, or it was about that time, the Shockers began to establish a pattern of playing one half pretty good, the other half not so good. You might remember Wichita State led by 4 points at halftime in the ball game in Des Moines and really fell apart in the second half.
Right, only 1 field goal in the first 10 minutes of the half, and that'll spell doom, you know, for just about anybody, and it did that night for the Shockers. That's been the whole story all along. There'll be one long stretch of the ball game where the Shockers will just not play well at all, and it'll kick them out of it. They just won't be able to do it. It's come at different times throughout the game. It came at a different time the other night at West Texas State. It's just been one of those things. They're going to have to establish the consistency of at least playing well enough through the whole ball game. You don't have to play fantastically. You're going to get some runs, but you can't have those terrible lapses that they've been having.
As for the Drake Bulldogs, they are, in my opinion, the most improved team, really one of the better teams in the conference this season. They are thinking NCAA. This season has suddenly begun to mean a lot to them.
That is really a turnaround when you consider that Gary Gardner has not had a winning season yet at Drake, and he's in his 5th year. So, you know, for them to be able to turn their program around like that in 1 year, it's got a lot of momentum, and the kids are really going to be up, and really they're not going to have any letdowns, I doubt, for any games.
One thing to remember, though, Drake has really had some problems in this building over the years, and the Shockers are hoping that might finally mean some good luck for them. We'll take a timeout. We're coming back shortly, though, to check one of tonight's very important player matchups. We'll do that right after this timeout.
Planning a move.
Arena, where the Shockers and the Drake Bulldogs are about to go at it. And Tom, as far as our player matchup tonight, a couple of very interesting emerging young players we want to key on. First, for the Drake Bulldogs, David Miller probably is going to end up being the Missouri Valley Conference Newcomer of the Year this year. He leads them in scoring. He's a transfer, but boy, is he something else.
Right, he's from Wisconsin. All you have to do, I think, is look at his stats from the last game against Illinois. 7 of 8 from the field, 5 of 5 from the line, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 block shots, and he played the entire 40 minutes. Now, that's an all-around basketball player. He's fun to watch. He's going to be a good one.
At only 6'4", but he ranks in the top 5 in the Valley statistics in 3 major categories. So, again, look for him tonight, and I think look for him later to be the Valley Newcomer of the Year when that's finally announced at the end of the season. As for the Wichita State Shockers, one of their newcomers is finally coming to the fore. In the last couple of ball games, Dwight Prelo is really emerging now as an offensive threat, and he earns another start in the ball game tonight.
This will be his 3rd start of the season. He started 2 games at point guard last week and was effective, especially penetrating, I thought. He got some of that much-needed inside play that the Shockers have not been able to get at all during this bad streak. Had 8 assists during the couple of games. So Dwight's had some good games, and has added a new dimension the Shockers have been lacking at point guard for the last several games.
Actually, over the last 2 ball games, Dwight has scored a total of 24 points. So he is beginning to produce. Keep an eye on those 2 guys, and keep an eye right here. We'll be back shortly with the starting lineups right after this timeout.
Look what just popped up, the new Sony Handycam. A video camera recorder so tiny, it fits in one hand. Just point and shoot and catch all the fun. the new Sony Handycam. Where will it pop up next?
From the Levitt Arena on the campus of the Wichita State University. Now let's meet the starting lineups for the Bulldogs of Drake and your Wichita State Shockers. At forward for Drake, a 6'4" junior from Chicago, Illinois, number 15, David Miller. For WSU, a 6'7" junior from New York, number 44, Gus Santos. For Drake, a 6'7" senior from Baltimore, Maryland, number 44, Melvin Mathis. For Wichita State, a 6'2" sophomore from Columbia, South Carolina, number 11, Cedric Coleman. At center for Drake, a 6'10" freshman from Mitchell, South Dakota, number 54, Bart Frederick. For Wichita State, a 6'9" sophomore from Titograd, Yugoslavia, number 45, Sasha Radunovic. At guard for Drake, a 6'3" senior from Cleveland, Ohio, number 20, Demetrius Henderson. For Wichita State, a 6'5" freshman from Columbia, South Carolina, number 22, Dwight Frelo. For Drake, a 6' sophomore from Carbondale, Illinois, number 24, Glenn Martin. And for Wichita State, a 6'5" junior from Mount Vernon, New York, number 3, Lou Hill. Head coach for Drake, Gary Garner. Head man of the Wichita State Shockers, Gene Smithson. And the opening tip is a minute away. Keep it right here on the Shockers Sports Channel. Field has him in position. The ball is in the air, and we're underway. Sasha got it on the way down to Gus Santos, and here come the Shockers. Drake went primarily man-to-man in Des Moines. It looks like we'll see it again.
That's the way they start out, so we'll have to watch the matchups and see who's working effectively against whom. Frederick and Sasha should be interesting.
Cedric Coleman inside to Santos. Kicked it out through Coleman's fingers to Dwight Frelo. Lou Hill now on the drive. Might have forced that shot as it was blocked pretty easily by Glenn Martin. And now the Bulldogs will try to break on front. Shockers as always in man-to-man, or you can't really say as always anymore with all the combination defense. A lot of zone we've seen recently from them, but Demetrius Henderson on the walk, and the Shockers get another crack.
Drug his pivot foot a little bit.
Ron Spittler, you saw him briefly there, working the ball game tonight with Woody Mayfield.
That's one of the best officiating crews around. There shouldn't be much trouble from the officials tonight.
Radunovic, a good ball fake. Right wing, Dwight Frelo, he nailed it. First two of the night for the freshman out of Columbia, South Carolina. Really becoming a more confident player, Tom, as time goes along, Dwight is.
I think tonight's really the first time that he's really had a chance to know beforehand and to show his stuff at home, too. So that should be interesting to watch him operate here in front of the home crowd. Good intensity on defense.
Reaching over, Cedric Coleman, his first foul. But a good aggressive foul. Gene Smithson, you've seen saying that that's okay, that's all right. Gene, of course, hoping tonight is finally the night he picks up victory number 150. It seems like we've been saying that for a month. We have been saying it for a month. It's been that long. Glenn Martin, number 24, fine young point guard for the Drake Bulldogs. Now Miller gets it inside to big Melvin Mathis. Triple teamed. Lost the ball. He's got it on the floor. Fed Miller. No walk on the play, even though Mathis was down on the floor. First two of the night for David Miller.
Now that's been the way it's been going all season long. You got four guys with their hands on the ball, and one guy comes up with it for a layup.
Radunovic, well short. Frederick, the loose one off the floor. We're tied 2-2. We've played the opening 2 minutes here at Levitt Arena. Demetrius Henderson. First two for the senior out of Cleveland. He averages 8 a game. Dwight Frelo right down the middle. The call down low, the blocking foul, and Demetrius Henderson. And that'll be his first. Quick reminder for you, we'll be naming our Red Barons Electronics player of the game following tonight's action. Over the top to Lou Hill. Shocks looking to pull even. Gus Santos, who came out of his slump with a fine ball game Saturday at West Texas State. Radunovic, the drive, helped it to, and the foul was on Frederick, his first.
Let's take another look at it, because Sasha gets the good ball fake and gets the one step on Frederick, and right now he's got him. He goes up straight. Frederick sticks his left arm in there, and he gets the foul. Nice ball fake. That's what started the whole thing.
Radunovic, one of Wichita State's better free throw shooters, 73% on the season, 79% in Valley play, trying to convert the three-point play. In the ball game at Drake, by the way, he had a double-double with 12 points and 10 rebounds. And Sasha, the first three of this evening for him, as the Shockers back in front 5-4. 17:30 remaining to play here in the half. Glenn Martin found an open Mathis in the right wing. He missed it off the heel. Miller hit Frederick, who also missed off the heel, and Santos, the defensive rebound. A good outlet pass to Lou Hill, who pops, airballed it, but Cedric Coleman right on the spot.
That's the kind of stuff that has not been happening during the losing streak, where you throw up an air ball, one of your teammates gets it for the layup.
Well, maybe it was a pass, right?
That's right. Lou will tell you after the game that that was a pass, I'm sure.
Henderson from 15.
Henderson really moves well without the ball. He got himself open that time and had the step on his man.
Radunovic leaning in. Miller outletting. Glenn Martin ahead to Melvin Mathis, who goes around Dwight Prelo. Good play by Dwight to knock it away cleanly. Drake ball.
Shockers are telling, the Shocker coach is telling the players, settle it down a little bit. The last time, no passes as they went down the court. There's Gary Garner, who's got to be enjoying this season, that is.
Here's Henderson again. He feels it. Missed that shot, though. And Cedric Coleman the rebound. Shockers looking to extend a 7-6 lead. Coleman, a good feed inside to Gus.
That's great pass. They haven't been getting that inside stuff too much at all, and Gus to the little jump hook in for the easy bucket.
Shockers came into this ball game very confident. After the ball game at Drake, they really felt they could play with Drake. No question in their mind. Except for a bad second half, they felt they would have won that game on the road. David Miller, 4 points for the junior out of Chicago. He is the number 5 scorer in the Valley, is David Miller.
He had 14 against the Shockers in the first game, and you're not going to be able to leave him that wide open and expect him not to just murder you all night.
And at 6'4", he also had 8 rebounds in that ball game. Very active player. Dwight Prelo, boy, you can really see the confidence beginning to emerge in that young man.
Yeah, he has come a long way since late November.
And Melvin Mathis, who traveled to get here, traveled once he got here. Shocker ball on the turnover.
Mathis didn't make a field goal in the last game against Illinois State. He had 11 points, but none of them were from the field. He's been having his woes as he's the 4th leading scorer all time in Drake history.
He's got a good chance of finishing his career as number 1 in both scoring and rebounding. He's already the number 1 rebounder.
Yeah, that's amazing that a guy who's...
Yeah. Hello, Dwight Prelo. 6 points on perfect 3 of 3 field goal shooting.
Last 2 from the exact same spot. We'll mark that spot tonight.
Shockers by 5, 14:30 remaining to play in the half. David Miller. Shockers fortunate there. He was pretty open on that shot.
Yeah, they picked off Cedric Coleman. Coleman's guarding him, and they picked him off inside.
Reaching over the back. First foul on Melvin Mathis. Steve Grayer in the ball game, replacing Gus Santos.
I think Gus might be hurt. He is going down to the end of the bench to see the trainer. We'll have to check on that.
We'll check on that when we come back. The timeout with 14:18 remaining to play in the half, and the cheers have replaced the boos at Levitt Arena. The Shockers lead it by 5. here with 14:18 remaining to play in the first half. Tom, you know, in that first ball game up in Des Moines, Drake shot only 38% from the field. The Shockers a miserable 29% for the game. So far, both teams improved over those numbers.
Yeah, a lot better. The Shockers especially, obviously shooting 60% so far from the field. And Drake has missed a couple of wide open shots. Has been fortunate for the Shockers. Gus Santos twisted his left ankle. The doctors are taking a look at it now down at the end of the bench. He's in a lot of pain, but I don't know how serious it is yet. They're going to take him to the dressing room and take a look at it.
We mentioned Steve Grayer now in the ball game for the Shockers. Also number 34, Michael Morgan, is checked in for Drake, a 6'6" junior out of Griffin, Georgia, and one of the best sixth men in the Valley. And a pretty nice shot there, first two of the night for Lou Hill, the junior out of Mount Vernon, New York. And the Shockers getting pretty good balance, among other things, here in the early scoring.
Coaches wanted the 5-second call out in front, but they're making a little penetration.
Demetrius Henderson, good hang time. And Radunovic, equally good hang time on the rebound. Pass ahead to Lou Hill.
They're really pushing the ball up court tonight, Mark, and I haven't seen that at all in the last few games. They're really moving it up nicely.
Grayer dumped it inside. Radunovic ball faking nicely. Had it knocked out of his hands. It'll be Shocker ball. A couple of the younger fans on hand tonight. All things considered, really a pretty good crowd. Dwight Pralo. My goodness.
They might have to start guarding him. You know, they're really leaving. He's really working well off the picks, and they're going to have to really fight through those things. He's going to really nail them.
A perfect 4 of 4 from the field for 8 points. Glenn Martin. Demetrius Henderson now. Lou Hill on him. Morgan. Finally, they get it inside to Frederick. Good defense that time down for the Shockers.
Excellent. You can let Frederick take a shot like that. Make him step outside, take the 10, 11 footer.
Radunovic, ball faking. Good move. Oh, it darn near went in. But he'll be at the line to shoot two, most likely, as number 41, Dave Dahlke, checks into the ball game for Drake. But check the foul again right here.
Watch David Miller coming in and trying to block the shot. He really gets up in the air for a guy that's 6'4" against Sasha at his 6'9", but he didn't quite get it as Sasha used his right arm well to shield him off.
The foul on Miller, his first, but already the 4th team foul on Drake. The Shockers have committed only 1. You saw Melvin Mathis also back in the game for Drake, in addition to Dahlke, number 41, the newcomer, and at the line, Radunovic. Snaps it off for his 4th point of the night. A halftime score. Illinois State leading Southern Illinois 36-20. And a final from Terre Haute. As Radunovic now with 5 points. The final from Terre Haute, Indiana State 64, West Texas 46.
Of course, the Sycamores come in here Saturday night.
Oh, Michael Morgan, showing you some of his offensive creativity. First 2 for him. That was a fine move.
He used the glass really well.
Shockers playing tonight overall with a little more vim and vigor, a little more vitality out there. They don't look quite so flat.
And the important point, obviously, is whether they can sustain it.
Steve Grayer, great move to penetrate. The Shockers get a second chance with an even 12 minutes to go in the half.
Now Steve's got to make sure that doesn't rattle him, and that he missed the shot. It was a good move, good shot.
Lou Hill had a chance, spun out. You notice that time down, Dwight Pralo was attracting more defensive attention. Glenn Martin tried for the underneath scoop shot, missed it. Lou Hill came out with the rebound. Shockers lead it by 9. Right through the hands of Grayer. Dahlke ended up with it. Glenn Martin, good penetration. Might have taken that shot. Did take that shot.
Shockers really blocking off well on the boards. They've got a lot of uncontested rebounds because of it.
Well, that lesson was learned in the West Texas game when they were out-rebounded by a much smaller team. Shockers have really worked on their rebounding technique. Clint Normore in for the first time, replacing Lou Hill for the Shockers.
I tell you, the intensity's really picked up. Both, as that whistle blew, both Cedric Coleman and Dwight Prelo pointed to themselves like, I need a blow. You know, I got to get out of here for a few minutes, Coach. And so Gino get him out of there. He's really good about that when his players need it.
First foul on Michael Morgan. Gary Cundiff will also come in for the Shockers. Replacing Dwight Prelo, who gets a nice hand, and I think I might join him. He played pretty darn well. Shockers inbounding and the non-shooting foul. Oh, and a great anticipation by Michael Morgan, but stepped on the sideline. Shocks will try it again from right in front of the Drake bench. And you can hear Woody Mayfield, I think, say 21. That's an illegal pick. Gary Cundiff, first foul on him.
Moved as he went through there, and you can't. Got to give the guy room to turn around. Now, with a bunch of new players in here, Mark, it'll be interesting to see if the Shockers can keep up this same rate, this intensity. Three of the guys that did not start the game.
Inside to Mathis. Lost control. They got it back into him. Whipped a pass to Dalkey. Fading away. He missed. Followed the shot and got it.
Tell you, knocked Cedric Coleman right on the floor, but no call. They're letting him play.
First two of the night for Dalkey, the transfer from Minnesota. Very rugged interior player, as you saw in that last sequence.
Good news, Gus is sitting at the scorer's table ready to go back in. 12 on the shot clock.
And the whistle down low as Gus Santos does indeed check back into the ball game for Steve Grayer. The foul, the first on Glenn Martin down low.
Foul on 24, Glenn Martin. His first, team 6.
And it'll again be Shocker ball when we return. This time out coming with 9:51 remaining to play in the half. The Shockers continue to lead it by 7. Back in a minute. 9:51, the time remaining in the first half. The Shockers lead it by 7. And Tom, another check of the field goal percentages, so show the Shockers maintaining a much better than 50% rate, but Drake has really dropped off.
Yeah, Drake has missed a lot of open shots, and they're a fine shooting team, and I don't think you'll see that sustained, so the Shockers are going to have to keep up their good play in order to keep this kind of lead.
Shocker ball down on the baseline. Gus will play at center now. Watch for him to post up down low. It'll be Radunovic at a forward with Cedric Coleman. Normore and Cundiff the guards, and Radunovic rattled it in from outside. Sasha with 7 is the leading scorer in the basketball game right now.
Sasha's doing a good job on Mathis. Oh, he let him.
Well, he gambled on the steal, and then Mathis helped out by missing a pretty easy shot. Coleman open left wing. Cundiff also open. He nailed it.
This is what they needed, one of those nights when everybody's kind of got it working a little bit so far.
Shockers enjoy their biggest lead of the night. 11 points with 8:55 to go, but Melvin Mathis cuts it back down to 9. First 2 of the night for the big senior out of Baltimore.
If you can keep an eye inside, watch Dalkey and Gus. There you go. They're really bumping it around in there.
That was Dalkey reaching over his first foul, and that'll be the 7th team foul on the Drake Bulldogs with still 8:34 remaining to play in the half. The Shockers, on top of everything else, have just gone in the bonus.
That's right. Now if they can shoot free throws, which they have done, only had a couple, but have done well so far. You know, I think you can divide a basketball game up into really 4 different sections with the 10-minute barriers at each one, and if we can do that tonight and kind of take a look at it, certainly the Shockers maintain exactly what they needed to do in the first 10 minutes of this first half. So if we kind of keep an eye on those sections, they've always lacked one in the losing streak. You know, one section of those 10 has always fallen apart.
You saw Gus was a 58% free throw shooter on this season when we had the graphic up a moment ago. However, he's only 45% in Valley play, but a perfect 2 of 2 that time down. 4 points now for the junior out of New York, New York. And the Shockers back up by 11 with 8:25 to go. Wichita State tonight a perfect 5 of 5 from the line. And with the hands, Clint Normore, the hand check, his first foul.
Foul on 14, Clint Normore, his first, 13 foul.
That is only the Shockers' third team foul. So Drake nowhere near the bonus. Glenn Martin running out of time. Had to try something, and Gus knocked it out of bounds.
This is the zone, Mark, the Shockers are in.
Dalkey deep in the left corner. That's really not in his range. Clint Normore, who of course has played very well of late for the Shockers over the last 3 or 4 ball games. Radunovic, ball faking. Played the angle beautifully off the glass. He's got 9.
I was getting ready to say he forced it up, and then, you know, it goes in. And
well, he may have, but it's not how, it's how many.
You betcha.
They tie it up. It'll be Drake ball, I believe, since the Shockers won the opening tip. I can't recall any other jump ball situations. That's Gary Garner, the man up on his feet. Now in his 5th year as the head coach of the Drake Bulldogs. And you and Gary go back to the old Missouri days in old Columbia town.
That's right. Gary was an assistant coach at Missouri back when I worked at a television station there, and I did the Missouri coaches basketball show, and Gary was a big help on that. You could tell that he was going to go far in the coaching profession. He really knows the game. He knows all the fundamental parts, and he's a good teacher. I think the kids probably really respect that in him more than anything else.
Gene Smithson getting his starting backcourt back in the ball game. Lou Hill and Dwight Prelo are in. Cedric Coleman with a bloody jersey, you can see, checks out of the game as well as Gary Cundiff. That's okay as long as it's somebody else's blood. That's the key, yeah. Shockers stay in the 2-3 on the inbounds.
So far tonight, that's really worked well, especially for rebounding.
Melvin Mathis has had a pretty slow night as he misses again. Only 2 points. 2 years ago, he was a first-team all-conference player. Last year, he was second-team all-valley. Gus. Well, when in doubt, shoot it.
That's right. Just throw it up there. It's going in tonight, guys.
Santos now 2 of 2 from the field and a couple of free throws for his 6 points. Michael Morgan answers. 4 points for Michael Morgan, the transfer from San Jacinto Junior College, where he and Lou Hill played together a couple of years ago on that national championship team that San Jack had. They won the national title just up the road in Hutchinson.
Also from Georgia, although a different area than Steve Grayer is from, so there's a lot of connections there.
Santos really working inside. The whistle came before the shot. As we get Frederick and Demetrius Henderson back in the ball game for Drake. Now this foul,
it's on Miller.
I guess it's on Glenn Martin. 24 Martin, I think is the call.
Miller, watch Miller. Well, we stopped it, but he pointed to himself like, hey, was that on me? But they did call it on Martin. I thought it was Miller on the wrist.
You don't want to volunteer yourself too quickly on those fouls. Second foul on Glenn Martin. The Shockers, as we told you, in the bonus. Again in the person of Gus Santos, who after a couple of pretty tough games emerged in Amarillo with 20 points and 3 rebounds. And tonight, Gus with 7 points. Tom Drake shoots as a team 49% from the field on the year, 51% in Valley play. Tonight so far, only 32% as Gus Santos hits both free throws.
Now you can blame that somewhat on the WSU defense. They are playing good defense, but Drake has had some open shots that they've just flat missed.
Shockers now still a perfect 7 of 7 from the line. And we get contact and a foul down low on Wichita State. Dwight Frelo, I believe, the guilty party, as Teddy Williams checks in the ball game. First foul on Dwight.
Well, Dwight's coming down to help out. He got around Sasha. And I'll tell you what, we talked about Miller before the game. He's a heck of a player, really quick. Got that baseline first step, and he was on his way to the hole.
Credit the Shocker fans tonight, Tom. Wichita State came into this building having lost 8 in a row, but the fans are pretty fired up. They gave the team a nice lift as they came out on the floor for the first time. That's a lot to their credit.
Yeah, you didn't hear the boos that you heard in the Southern Illinois game last week at all, and you had every reason to think that you might, since you heard them last week. Well, why not tonight when they lost another game? But I think the people around here, the people that I talk to downtown anyway, are just as hungry for a win as the guys are, and they're ready to see it happen.
David Miller hit the second one. You saw him with his mouthpiece in place. When I played, I was always afraid of guys who wore a mouthpiece. You know, they just look tough. They look like they'll just bust you in the head. Dwight Frelo, first bad shot he's really taken all night.
Yeah, he's lucky he got fouled on that one. Martin got him, but
that's 3 fouls on Glenn Martin.
Yeah, because that's really going to hurt them to have there. He's their assist leader and had a great game against Illinois State. Was 6 for 6 from the field, 2 for 2 from the line. So he's going to have a seat on the bench, I imagine.
And in to replace him, number 21, one of my favorite names in the Valley, Dave Zing, 6'2", a sophomore out of Middleton, Wisconsin. That's got to give you a lift just putting him in the game, right?
A public address announcer's dream.
Dwight Frelo now has 9 points. He and Radunovich each with 9 and Gus with 8. Good balance. And for the 3rd straight game, double figures for Dwight Frelo. He now has 10 points. And the Shockers still a model of perfection at the line. 9 of 9.
Who'd have thunk it?
Michael Morgan, nice dish. That could be an offensive foul. Yep. And a good call if we see it again. This is called taking one for old WSU right here.
Boom. That was no acting job. That's like the pile driver coming into your chest there.
Second foul on Morgan. He's out. Melvin Mathis back in for the Drake Bulldogs. You see Gary Garner. A word of advice from Mr. Morgan. Talking to Gary up in Des Moines, he was asked why he doesn't start Michael Morgan, because he is such a good player. His feeling was he's just a little bit too foul prone. Better off bringing him off the bench. First miss, but Ted Williams turns it into a plus. First 2 of the night for him. And the Shockers lead it 35-17. With 5:40 remaining to play in the half.
Yeah, there's a big pushing match going on inside there between Ted and Frederick, and they got caught.
First foul on Teddy. And Frederick checking out of the ball game. Michael Morgan quickly back in. Dave Zing over here to Henderson. Had it go between his legs. Melvin Mathis back out. Drake will reset with 5:19 remaining to play in the half. Shockers 2-3 zone. Miller goes over the top short. And Dwight Frelo bring it right down the pipe. Went no more. A little short.
That's a good break, though. They had him 5-on-4, and they had the open shot. Ted's got to learn that he can't reach over the back like that. He's going to get the foul every time.
Second foul on Teddy.
Foul on 54, Ted Williams, his second. In the game for Wichita State, 45.
And Radunovic will be back in for the Shockers. We'll set the lineup when we return. This final timeout with more 55 remaining to play in the half. And happy days are here again. Let's hope Shockers lead it by 18. Back in a minute. Time running down here in the first half, and what a first half it has been for a change for the Wichita State Shockers. They lead it here by 18 over the visiting Drake Bulldogs, and part of the reason they've outscored them by 8 at the line.
Well, and obviously they've had 8 more chances at the line too, and the Shockers have really been taking the ball to the hoop well. They've been getting a lot of shots inside the paint area, and Drake has been forced to take most of theirs from the outside, trying to run off picks in the free throw lane and take them from about 17, 18 feet.
Shockers are also winning the battle of the boards unofficially, 15-10, and they are out shooting Drake from the field 60% to 29%.
You sure you don't have those numbers turned around now? I'm so used to hearing it the other way.
Dave Zing.
Look at that. See, there are 4 guys right there at the board. There was no way Drake was going to get that rebound.
A name like Dave Zing, you got to average about 30 a game. Dwight Frelo. As Santos tossed one up there. Sasha, great job to keep it alive. Clint Normore. 3rd time's the charm. First 2 of the night for Clint. Normore averaging 10 points a game over his last 5. Had 6 the other night down at West Texas. And the Shockers lead it by 20.
Yeah, offensive. No. Not going to call it on Sasha. No, they're not. I'm sorry. The way they look there.
Had it right the first time.
Yeah.
3rd foul on Michael Morgan. As he is out with 3 fouls. Dave Dahlke back in, and Gary Garner, arms crossed. Now taking his seat on the Drake bench. He's got to be figuring this is not the same team I've seen most of the year.
He's also got some serious foul trouble he's going to have to think about.
Martin with 3, Morgan with 3. At the line, Radunovic missed the front end. Inside 4 minutes now, remaining to play in the half. Dahlke slid his feet, no call. That's a blocking foul. Good idea for Dwight. He just wasn't set. 2nd foul on him.
Now you watch Henderson here as he takes the good penetration, gets the first step, and Dwight just kind of moves his hip over into it.
Boy, Tom, we mentioned Drake shooting only 29% from the field. Their last ball game, they shot, what, 66%?
Yeah, amazing.
Against Illinois State, too, a good defensive team. This is Demetrius Henderson. The woes continue for the Drake Bulldogs, but if you're the Shockers, who cares? About time the break started going your way.
Yeah, let somebody else worry about that.
Normore. And that ball out of bounds, off Dwight Frelo. So Bulldog ball with only 3:26 remaining in the half. Coming up at halftime, by the way, we'll talk to Shocker head baseball coach Gene Stevenson. Baseball season not as far away as you might think.
Shockers once again predicted to do really well in baseball.
The foul on Wichita State as Cedric Coleman comes back in the game. First foul on Radunovic.
Well, he was griping about the call, but I don't see much that he had to gripe about. He was up in the air and kind of moving his body into it.
Into the game for Wichita State, 11, Cedric Coleman.
And at the line, shooting 2, Demetrius Henderson fouled in the act of shooting. Only a 59% free throw shooter. Looked a lot better than that on that shot. Henderson, the senior out of Cleveland, averages 8 points a game. 4 years ago, Drake considered him their top recruit. And he's had not a spectacular, but a very solid career at Drake.
Yeah, he really plays good defense. They can always put him on somebody bigger than he is because of his leaping ability, and that's one good thing they've really been able to get out of it.
Inside 3 minutes now to play in the half. Shockers, a rare turnover. David Miller off the hands of Dalkey, and good hustle by Lou Hill to track it down. Shockers will run the offense. They lead it 37-19. White Prelo has gone cold after a hot start. Coleman reaching in, his second foul.
Al Henderson had established position. Cedric just went right over his back. Henderson had double figures in 20 games last year for Drake. He really did have a good year last year.
A lot of those, I would guess, though, were probably in the 10 to 15 point range. He's not the kind of guy who's going to kill you. Kind of snapped that one off, kind of short-armed it. Missed it all the way to Demetrius Henderson. Now 2:30 remaining to play in the half. Shockers still lead it by 18. Santos tried for the save, not quite.
Well, last few times down the court haven't been very impressive at all. The Shockers got to get out of this now. They know they're okay. They're ahead by plenty, but they just cannot afford to have a bad last 2 minutes here.
No, you don't want to let Drake take any momentum into the halftime locker room. The Shockers have seen what happens when you do that. Lou Hill on the reach, his first foul.
Yeah, they put him at the line the last 3 times down the court, too.
Drake's got to be ecstatic. They're shooting 30% from the field. Right. They could spend the rest of the night at the line. They wouldn't care. Gary Cundiff back in for the Shockers. White Prelo out of the ball game. And at the line, we'll see Dave Dalkey here shortly, a 60% free throw shooter, 6'6", a junior out of Chaska, Minnesota. Played his first couple of years at the University of Minnesota, which of course has been in the news lately for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that's a program that you never even, thought of as really a renegade type program, but they said all the signs were there for trouble waiting to explode. They just apparently had a few really bad guys on that team.
Dalkey got them both. The rumor mill, by the way, I'm hearing that Bob Donewald's name's being bounced around as a possible candidate for that Minnesota job. Of course, it's a former Indiana assistant. Just about any time a Big Ten job opens up, and there are now 2 open. The Ohio State job is also open.
That's right. Well, Donewald has every chance to go about as far as he wants because his coaching reputation is really strong, especially as far as the Bobby Knight defense type of coach.
They're building him a brand new arena, though, in Normal. I don't know if he's going to be in any big hurry to leave. Cundiff. 4 points for Gary. On a perfect 2 of 2 from the field, I believe. I can only recall 2 shots, and he has hit them both.
I think you're right.
Inside a minute 30 now. Dalkey. Fading away, went head over heels and missed the shot. Shockers will work for the good shot as they try to protect an 18-point lead. Dos Santos seeing a lot more playing time down low in the low post, really playing almost center. He can really shake open, get you those kind of shots. Gus now with 10 points. That gives him double figures in 16 of Wichita State's 20 games. And the Shockers continue to shoot 59% from the field.
Back in the zone.
David Miller short. Followed his shot, though, nicely and missed a gimme. And Gus Santos a rebound. Oh, David Miller's got to be saying, come on. Wichita State will go for the final shot with 25 seconds to play.
Radunovic is hurt right there at center court.
They get the official timeout. That allows Michael Morgan back in the ball game for the Bulldogs.
I think he got the wind knocked out of him a little bit on that last rebound.
Looks like, though, he'll shake it off and play these final 26 seconds. Cedric Coleman to inbound. then look for the Shockers to milk it down to the final 5 or 6 seconds. 12 seconds left now on the game clock. Shot clock turned off, of course. 8 seconds. Radunovic, the ball fake, trying to draw the foul. 4 seconds. 3, 2, and we get a foul on David Miller with 2 seconds remaining in the half. Second foul on Miller.
That's got to make Gary Garner get a couple more gray hairs in his head. You got him down to 2, and then they get you for the foul.
So it'll be Gary Cundiff at the line for only the second time this season. Gary, a grand total of 0 for 1.
Isn't that amazing? As much as he's played.
The ball game in Des Moines, Gary did have 7 assists. Cundiff now 0 for 2. Couldn't even hardly bear to look at that one. He turned away. Cundiff looking for his 5th point on the night.
From years past, I remember Gary as a good free throw shooter, too.
Especially as a freshman and sophomore. Has good form. Zing at the buzzer. A little short, and that'll do it. And what do you know? Listen to this. A standing ovation for the Wichita State Shockers as they head for the locker room. And they deserve it. They lead it here at the half by twice what the Drake Bulldogs have. 42-21 our score. Back to talk it over right after this. Back with you at Levitt Arena, and looky there, the Shockers lead it by 21 here at the half over the visiting Drake Bulldogs. 42-21 the score. Tom, we mentioned off the top of the show that Drake has had its problems in Levitt Arena over the years. As a matter of fact, they have not won here since 1975. As good a ball club as Drake has this season, this building continues to be a problem for them, but I think the problem more than the building tonight has been the play of the Shockers. I can't remember the last time they played this well.
Oh, when do you remember? There's a lot of games when they've scored 42 points and much less score 42 points and a half. I mean, to tell you. And so, you know, they just played excellent basketball. They got the ball inside and never saw any panic that you've seen in all the other games. They just played very consistently. They came out as though they knew that they had a purpose in mind tonight, and they kind of spread it around. Dwight Prelo started off with the hot hand, then Sasha got hot, and then Gus got hot with a little help from Gary Cundiff down toward the end. So it was very evenly spread out, and, you know, 4 or 5 good guys had really good first halves.
The fact that I think this is the second time through the Valley might be part of the factor. Wichita State has now seen everybody else. It gives you a chance to compare yourself against the other teams in the conference, see how you stack up. And I think Wichita State, after a 1-7 way to open this first half of conference play, I think deep down inside they've got to feel, hey, we're not 1-7. We're better than that, and I think they're going to. That may be it. They're just out to prove it here the second time through.
Now they've got to decide in the locker room that they've got to put together 20 more consistent minutes of basketball. There's a look at some of the action from the first half. They did that 2 or 3 times, knocked the basketball out away, and then got another good shot at it. Clint was right there to take it up and smack it home. So, you know, there was a lot of that, a lot of good breaks that they hadn't been getting in the other games. So no breaks were coming their way in the losing streak. And tonight they've been there, and they've taken every advantage of it. They got a great lead. Now all you do is just go out and try and play consistent basketball.
As we also said off the top of the show, the Shockers led in the ballgame in Des Moines as well, but not by 21. They led it only by 4. Over the last 4 ball games, in each of the last 4 ball games, the Shockers have had 1 half in each of those 4 games in which they have shot 50% or better from the field, only to let it get away in the second half of either the first or second half of the game. Leading by 21, it's really going to take quite a collapse, but Wichita State, maybe this is the night they finally put together 40 minutes.
Well, I would think it certainly has shown to be that way in the first half, and I'm sure all the Shocker players know that just as well as anybody else. And they seem to have, like I said, that resolve about them tonight, so I'm sure they're talking about that right now. Okay, you did it. Now let's not blow it. Drake, on the other hand, shot so poorly in the first half, you know they're going to shoot better in the second half.
Okay, and the halftime stats should really be something to see. Tom will check with you in a few minutes and take a look at those, but right now, we'd like to bring in our special halftime guest, and this guy's about ready to go to work. Gene Stevenson, the head baseball coach here at Wichita State University, as well as the head coach of the Wichita Broncos. You're just Mr. Baseball anymore, aren't you?
They're keeping me pretty busy. That's right.
You guys really do open the season in less than a month. March the 1st, I guess it is.
3 weeks from this Saturday, right here at home.
What about the ball club this year? I've seen already in one preseason poll you're in at least one national top 15. You didn't lose too much off a pretty good ball club last year.
Well, we lost an awful lot, really, but it just seems like we didn't lose very much because we have a lot of good players returning. And, you know, I know that we're well thought of around the country, and I'd personally like to be out of that top 20 to start the season and finish a lot higher at the end of the season.
Who do we look for this season? Where are you going to be strong?
Well, you know, I think really we just play well together. I think we're a pretty smart team that does some things well together and executes well. I don't really think we're going to hit as well at times as perhaps we have in the past. I think our pitching will be consistent. I don't think that we have any super-powered, great pitching, you know, prospects on the club, but we hope to be much more consistent up and down the line and be able to do things to help us win. I think defensively we should be good, and if we can find the positions at first base filled and right field perhaps, everywhere else we're fairly strong. So if we can just hit a little bit and keep that consistent pitching going, I think we have a chance to beat a lot of people.
Only got about 30 seconds left, Gene. You've got a beautiful new facility now, and you're going to play a lot of ball games. What are some of the highlights on the home schedule that fans can plan on coming out to see?
Well, I think at home we've got some great teams here. We've got, for the first time ever, we have the University of Kansas here, but in addition to that, we have Oklahoma State, we have Oral Roberts, Nebraska, New Orleans, which was in the College World Series last year, New Mexico University, in addition to the Valley teams that we have on the schedule. And you know, I'm sure I'm leaving out some. Arkansas is another one, Kansas State. You know, we've got some great clubs here. So I think for the first time ever, about every game that we play from the first third of the season on is going to be a team that can certainly whip our tails.
Okay. Gene, best of luck to you. We'll see plenty of you, and have a good season.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Gene Stevenson, Wichita State's head baseball coach. We'll take a timeout. We're coming back shortly, though, to check the halftime stats right after this on the Shocker Sports Channel.
They want and require, despite their diversity.
Our student mix includes young women like Monica Vaughn, who wants a career in theater. There's Charles Fitzsimmons, who returned to college as a pre-med student to pursue his dream of becoming a doctor. Freshman Anthony Deo is majoring in aeronautical engineering and works for the campus police. There's Donna Jacobs, who wants to be a chemical engineer and who was selected this year's homecoming queen. And political science major Curtis Staley, who recently won a community award for his volunteer work. Zella Newberry, who returned to college as a widow and a mother of 5. She's studying to receive her master's in counseling. Together, traditional and non-traditional, they enrich each other's educational experience. At WSU, our students make the difference.
You see the Shockers warming up as we prepare for play here in the second half. Probably a little more spring in their step as they look at the scoreboard high overhead and see them leading by 21 over the Drake Bulldogs. And Tom, let's break it down and see exactly how the halftime stats shape up. The field goal attempts exactly even at 27, but what they've accomplished with those attempts is a very different story.
Well, that's quite a story when you both have the same number of field goal attempts, and you shoot 59.3 and they shoot 29.6. Obviously, a couple of different factors there. Number one, the Shockers have just had 3 different players that have been extremely hot, but they've also been getting excellent shots. I haven't seen too many bad shots at all, whereas Drake has been forced to take like the 17-footer, the 18-footer that they would not like to take. They'd like to have the 12-footer. Shockers doing quite well from the free throw line. You know, just a great first half of basketball. It's just, and they win the battle of the boards, and both teams with a very low amount of turnovers.
In fact, the Shockers have only 4 turnovers. That might be one of the more important stats on that page, though, because Wichita State coming into the ball game led the Missouri Valley Conference in turnovers, which, of course, you want to be on the other end of that stat. That has really been a problem for the Shockers, and to have only 4 turnovers for them in the first 20 minutes of basketball, that's as big a part of the good news as anything. Now, to break it down individually, Tom mentioned 3 players really hot and carrying most of the scoring load for the Wichita State Shockers, and you see Dwight Pralo and Gus Santos both in double figures with 10 apiece, and Radunovich hot on their heels with 9, but the Drake scoring story, not nearly that impressive. Demetrius Henderson with 6. David Miller, who averages nearly 16 a game, has only 5 here at the half. Michael Morgan who averages 9 a game, has 4. And maybe the biggest story, Melvin Mathis, who averages nearly 14 a game, has only 2 points here at halftime. So the Shockers in the driver's seat and sure hoping to stay there. Again, the halftime score, Wichita State 42, Drake 21. The second half right around the corner here on the Shocker Sports Channel.
These people won't mind their own business. They all care about someone with an alcohol or drug abuse problem, and they're doing something about it. With the help of a St. Luke's Chemical Dependency Unit counselor, they're using a technique called intervention. Intervention helps an alcohol or drug-abusing individual confront his problem and seek treatment before it's too late. If you're concerned about someone with an alcohol or drug problem and don't know where to turn to us. St. Luke's Chemical Dependency Unit offers hope.
Players have a place.
Ready? The second half action, so let's come right on down the tunnel and come on in, grab yourself a seat, get ready for 20 more minutes of basketball. Again, the Shockers lead it at the half, 42-21. Tom, of course, everybody wants to talk about the 8-game losing streak. That's not the only skid the Shockers are trying to put a halt to tonight. For example, they have lost 3 straight home games coming into this ball game. That has not happened since the 72-73 season, so the Shockers can put a halt to that. Where's Margie Dursey with little friend? Shockers are trying to put a halt to that tonight. Also, for the last 13 straight ball games, the Shockers have shot less than 50% from the field. So if they can maintain the way they've shot the ball in the first half, they will also finally put a halt to that streak. And that would be nothing but good news. It'll be Shocker ball as we begin play here in the second half. Cedric Coleman to trigger it in. He finds Radunovic. We're underway. The crowd back on their feet.
You know, Mark, I think you can really credit a couple of things Cedric Coleman and Gus Santos did defensively in that first half. Coleman is guarding Miller and Santos is guarding Mathis, and both of them had subpar first halves. I think it was in large part due to that defense.
Especially Mathis. He was nearly invisible, and that's tough when you're 6'7", 225 pounds. First whistle of the second half. It's a shove on Drake, and they've got it on Melvin Mathis. Wasn't invisible on that play. His second foul.
Now, you remember what he did to Wichita State at one point last year at 31 against the Shockers for his season high.
Santos pops out. Now Lou Hill, Shockers in control, very patient, running the offense. Cedric Coleman in the paint, hung in the air beautifully and drew the foul. David Miller, that's his third foul. So the foul problem's really beginning to pile up as you look at it again for Drake.
Really, you got Miller with 3, then Glenn Martin with 3, and Michael Morgan with 3. Mathis has 2. A couple of other guys have 2. David, let's see, I think maybe that's all that have 2. But they got a lot of players with a couple and 3 fouls on them. And they don't play many guys. They really do play just 7 or 8 players.
At the line, Cedric Coleman, a 64% free throw shooter on the season. Much better than that in Valley play, 86%. You got an indication of that on the first shot as the crowd here sits back. Cedric Coleman with the point. And Cedric will hold at 3 points for the time being. Melvin Mathis flipped it to Glenn Martin, who did not score in the first half, and he averages nearly 10 a game. Very unique release you saw there for Glenn Martin as he missed. Miller the follow, also no good. Bart Frederick tracked it down, the big guy from South Dakota. They clear out the right side for Martin. He dumped it down low to Demetrius Henderson, who was fouled by Gus Santos. Only the first on Gus.
Take a look at it. They did have the whole right side of the court cleared out, and a good penetration by Martin got it into Henderson, who went up strong to the bucket. There should have been somebody there to cut that baseline move off.
Demetrius Henderson looking for his 7th point. He's a co-captain on this team along with Melvin Mathis. Henderson in high school was a Dapper Dan selection. That may not mean a whole lot to folks in the Midwest, but back east, that is a very prestigious high school all-star tournament. Ted Williams, as a matter of fact, was also a Dapper Dan pick.
Played in Pittsburgh.
Right.
It's a big game. You hear that in the McDonald's game, probably. It's two of the really big ones.
That foul on Lou Hill, I think, as he was chasing after Glenn Martin. That'll be the 2nd foul on Lou, and see what you think here.
Yeah, I called him for that reach over. He didn't really hit him, but it looked like to the official from behind like he hit him. Anytime you reach, you're asking for a foul almost.
Team fouls are even at 2 apiece. Here in the early going in the second half, Shockers lead it 43-21. David Miller, beautiful form and an even better result, 7 points.
Next couple of minutes could be really important. Shockers thrown the ball away a couple of times, and then Miller hit that shot.
Guys like Miller or Mathis get untracked. Could get interesting. Gus somehow got that offensive rebound. He didn't have position, a great hustle job, and Glenn Martin got the loose one off the floor. Between his legs, whistle before that shot, no bucket for Miller. As Santos quickly has his 2nd foul.
Take another look at it. He comes down with the penetration. They get Gus on the reach in on the pass. But I tell you what, Miller took that ball and poked it right in the hole, even though it didn't count. You can tell that he kind of feels it right now, so kind of getting a bad feeling here. Got to turn things back around.
Yeah, he may finally have his stroke. He has the ball right now. He'll bear watching. Shockers 2-3 zone on the inbound. 17:25 remaining to play. Again, the whistle before the shot, and again, a position shoving foul, and Gus Santos, after not fouling at all in the first half, has 3 very quick fouls here in the second half.
Man, that'll just kill you. They might have to get him out of there. Gene's not going to make the move yet.
Gus kind of shaking his head as he looks back at Woody Mayfield, but he's got to forget about that.
Back in the zone.
There he is, and there it is.
Yeah, he feels it, doesn't he?
Give you some idea what kind of player David Miller was and is. We mentioned he's a transfer from Wisconsin as a sophomore. He started 27 games for the Golden Gophers, so he's a good one. Radunovic would have counted, but instead he'll be at the line to shoot 2. That foul on Frederick, his 2nd.
Take a look at it. Good job by Sasha. He gives that ball fake and gets the step on Frederick. Ooh, I tell you, Frederick felt that one, didn't he?
2 free throws for Radunovic, fouled in the act of shooting. Either one of these will give him double figures on the night. Sasha now with 10, and that is his average. Scoring-wise, rebounding-wise, he averages 7.5 boards a contest. That leads the Shockers and ranks him number 5 in the Valley in rebounding. Radunovic now with 11. We've played the opening 3 minutes of the second half. The Shockers maintaining now a 20-point lead.
Look at Miller. He's over there hollering for it.
Instead, we'll get Henderson short in the top of the key. Break opportunity, 2-on-2. Dwight Prelo ahead to Radunovic. Wide open Coleman, although a couple of guys jump right on him. Dwight Prelo. It's cooled off just a bit. Shockers now man-to-man on the defense as they're mixing things up. Shockers in the second half, 0 of 5 from the field. Frederick kind of lumbering his way toward the baseline, did finally draw the foul. It'll be on Radunovic.
And they called it on Sasha for the grab. It looked like Frederick might have walked inside when he got the basketball. Let's look.
Oh, yeah, from the backside. I was watching Sasha back live. The miss in the corner. It was the third foul on Lou Hill. Let's get that straight. And now Dwight Prelo ahead to Lou. Nice post up for Gus. Beautiful. He's got a dozen.
That's really worked effectively, putting Gus inside there. He's really operates well. Gets guys on his hip a lot easier than other players. Mark, they're taking the zone defense after they make the basket and the man-to-man after any misses.
David Miller now is going to try it on the right side. Instead, Frederick saying to himself, I got to start making those. Instead, he picks up the foul. That'll be his third.
Well, Gus gets good position on him, and Frederick just tries to go over the top and picks up the foul. You're going to do that, Bart. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to jump to do it, even though you're 6'10".
Clint Normore in the ball game, replacing Lou Hill, who checks out for a breather. There's Clint. That's a reach on Michael Morgan. Now that's his fourth foul, and it's going from bad to worse for Gary Garner as he gets Dave Dahlke up and back in the ball game. Morgan will have to check out with his 4 fouls.
Yeah, the Shockers will make that trade any day of the week. Dahlke for Morgan.
You really didn't see Michael Morgan at his best here tonight. He truly is one of the best reserves in the Valley. Gus again posting up, not quite on the angle. And Mayfield and Spittler consult, and it'll be Drake Ball.
Yeah. I don't think either one of them knew that time.
Inside 15 minutes now to play in the second half. Dahlke, a good pass back out to Demetrius Henderson. And Cedric Coleman served him a Spalding sandwich, and Radunovic converts at the other end. He's got 13, and they're rocking at the roundhouse.
Hey, remember, this is fun.
Ooh, David Miller joins the party.
He shot that from the 3rd row.
Second row.
Okay, I'm sorry.
11 points for David Miller. Normore airballed it. Frederick, right place, right time. Glenn Martin ahead to Henderson. Down low, Dahlke. That's a tough shot. He was fading behind the backboard and still managed to get it down. 6 for Dave Dahlke. Dahlke was a McDonald's High School All-American as a senior, as was Curtis Bailey. The Wichita State Shockers, by the way. Gus, yes, it's going to count. And it'll be Gus at the line. Radunovic is over here to give Gene Smithson a high five. We're having some fun tonight.
Ah, the frustration coming out. There's a good turn. Gets it to fall. That's the best high five I've seen all season. You don't usually give them to the coach.
Gene had to be thinking, what does he want? Gus now looking for point number 15. By the way, this ball game tonight is the first of 4 home games for the Shockers in their next 5. So that really could give Wichita State a chance to get this thing turned around. Listen to this home crowd. Pretty good night so far. 13:44 remaining to play. The Shockers continue to lead it 52-29. Don't go away. For the timeout, Tom, I'd rank this with one of the best sequences of the season. At only 6'2", Cedric Coleman in your face, and that wild and crazy guy, Sasha Radunovic. Look at him beat the Bulldogs down the floor. Going to the left hand. Very nice.
And he's having fun.
Drake ball. 13:40 remaining to play in this one. Shockers lead it 52-29. Frederick. Now Drake resorting to some shots now that normally I don't imagine they'd be taking.
Like I said, Gary Garner's a strong believer in fundamentals. That's going to kill him.
Dwight Puelo getting closer.
Good job.
Boy, how many times have we seen that tonight?
Yeah. And how many times haven't you seen it before in the season? Just good patience.
That's really been a big difference tonight. The second and third opportunities for the Shockers and the lack of turnovers as well. I really feel that's important. Inside 13 minutes to play now. Radunovic. He's just a little too quick for Frederick, although Frederick gave him a problem on that shot. Look at Miller, speaking of quick. Whoa. That's, give me the ball. David Miller, after only 5 in the first half, has 8 in the second half for his total of 13.
Oh, they called that offensive.
Sure did. Second foul on Clint.
Yeah, they called the elbow, called the push-off. Shocker coach is on the officials a little bit. There's a good look at the foul trouble. See the list a lot longer for Drake. They got big problems.
Even though it said Illinois State, that was Drake. Lots of contact down low. It's on the Bulldogs, maybe on Frederick. Nope. Second foul on Henderson. Team foul number 7 on the Drake Bulldogs, so the Shockers go into the bonus again very early, 12-18. Remaining to play in the half. The Shockers, by the way, have committed 16 fouls themselves, so their next foul will put Drake into the bonus. You get the feeling we're going to shoot some free throws here the rest of this evening.
I would say so. Mark Cedric's at the line. He, of course, is the guy who's got his hands really full defensively because David Miller is on a hot streak now. For Drake, one thing Gene told him during the last time out was that you can't help the other guys. You got to be just worried about Miller. You can't play much help on defense.
Cedric Coleman, as we mentioned, a much better free throw shooter since Valley play has begun. Actually, 86% in the conference coming into this one. Looking for now his 5th point of the night. Pride of AC Flora. Xavier McDaniel High School. The tip no good. Sasha again trying to keep it alive, but that time nobody there as Lou Hill checks in the ball game for the Shockers. Cedric out. Shockers continue to lead it by 22, 12-15 to go.
In the zone this time.
That really unique release for Glenn Martin. Dave Dalkey. That's his game. You've seen him take a couple of more outside shots, but that is really where Dave Dalkey's going to hurt you on that last shot. Look at Puelo. Took it right inside and missed an 8-footer. And the look on his face told the story.
Yeah, sure did. Good penetration. Dwight's really good at that. He's quick.
Bart Frederick. Ball was all over his ankles. He never could get a handle on it. Big Melvin. Although he hasn't played quite that big tonight, he's in. Bart Frederick is out, so this will put Mathis back at center. One of the reasons why Garner was really excited about signing Frederick, could let him play center and get Mathis back out at a wing where really he's more comfortable.
Frederick really doesn't show very much mobility yet, but certainly as a, he's a freshman, and I'm sure that he'll round into it. He's got all the tools.
I was much more impressed with him in Des Moines than I have been tonight. He hasn't scored at all tonight. Although he did foul out of the ball game at Des Moines. Shockers turn it over. Glenn Martin ahead to David Miller. Really quick on the dribble, a little too quick. Normore has it on the floor. Dalkey, somebody get a hand on it. Lou Hill over the top to Normore. Notice Clint has a plug in one of his nostrils. He must have a bloody nose, but that makes it tough to breathe. That makes it
sure does.
Can really affect your wind as far as getting up and down the floor. Santos would have counted, but a man all over him. The foul on Dalkey, it should be his second.
Gus really has this down at 6'7". I'll tell you what, he's playing in there. Inside of the post, gets Dalkey up in the air and almost puts it down for the three-point try.
Dalkey committing the cardinal sin.
That's right. Never leave your feet.
Every high school coach in America is jumping out of his chair when they see a play like that. 2 shots for Gus in the act of shooting. Looking for point number 16. The latest Valley stats just out. Gus still ranks as the number 7 scorer in the conference, averaging 14.5 a game. $17 for Gus. Shockers lead it by 22 with 10:40 to go.
Once again, you know, the 10-minute period is just about past. They were ahead by 21 at halftime and have really sustained it.
And remember, that was the 10-minute period in Des Moines, the first 10 of the second half. It just killed the Shockers. Oh, they called a walk on Gus.
Got a little confused there.
Glenn Martin, finally, first 2 of the night for the sophomore out of Carbondale, Illinois. Must not have had any desire to be a Saluki.
No, he must not have.
Or maybe they didn't have any desire for him.
Sometimes it's tough to keep those guys at home. They want to get away.
Dalkey got a hand on that pass. Demetrius Henderson, they call the tie-up. This ought to be Shocker ball. Actually, it'll be Drake ball, but not before we come back. 9:49 remaining to play. The Shockers continue to lead it by an even 20. Back in a minute here on the Shocker Sports Channel. Now leading it by 20. 9:49 remaining to play in the ball game. The shooting in the second half not quite up to what we saw in the first half, at least from a Wichita State point of view, Tom. They're only 3 of 14. Drake a little better than that, but the Shockers still big on the scoreboard.
Yeah, the Shockers have been able to score 7 points from the free throw line, and that has certainly helped them. They've scored, what, 13 points in the second half.
Shockers are 7 of 9 from the line. Drake is 0 of 2.
They really just have not put Drake at the line at all tonight, have they?
Well, they might have learned a lesson in the Southern Illinois ball game about putting your opponent at the line. Oh, that foul's on Radunovich.
That looked like a pretty clean pick. But
we'll give you a second look, or we'll try. Second foul on Sasha.
Watch him. They're seeing where they called it. Well, we couldn't quite see it there, but they called him for it.
The foul they ruled was how he got into position to make the steal in the first place. So Melvin Mathis looking for only his 3rd point. Where have you been, Melvin? Good free throw shooter for a big guy, 78%. Came out of the same high school in Baltimore that produced Pop Wright, the former Drake guard who played on the old Lewis Lloyd teams. As we mentioned, he is Drake's all-time leading rebounder and could finish his career as their leading scorer, but not the way he's going tonight. Matter of fact, he needs 126 points from here on out to finish number 1. Radunovich, fouled by Melvin Mathis. That's his 3rd.
Melvin's confused. He just not quite with it tonight somehow or another. Sasha's got ball fakes going every which way here. There's one, there's another one. He thought that he kind of stayed still there. Mathis had a bad game against Illinois State in Drake's last game. He did get 11 points, but they were all from the free throw line. So he, you know, that's 2 bad games in a row from him, and that's something they're certainly not used to seeing. I hope I'm not speaking too soon.
Radunovich now with 14 points. Sasha, 79% free throw shooter in the Valley. Perfect that trip. He's got 15. 9:15 to go. Shockers lead it by that much, 21. Shockers really D'ing it up. The double team on Miller, nearly forcing the turnover. Mathis fading away, no good. Demetrius Henderson, quite a rebound. Missed the follow, though. Lou Hill, outlets. Good decision there. Radunovic was streaking down the floor, but Lou thought better of it. Waited for company. .8:20 remaining to play.
Probably try to get the ball inside to Gus this time.
How'd you know that?
Well, they talked about it in the huddle. They said, we got to get it inside. We got to swing the ball around and watch Gus coming from the other side.
Santos with 19. Gene Smithson with the 2 arms raised over his head to signal the zone defense. And Dave Dahlke beat the zone. He's got 10. Good night for Dahlke. He averages only 4.5 a game. Glenn Martin knocked it out of bounds. It'll be Shocker ball again as Bart Frederick, the big 6'10 freshman out of Mitchell, South Dakota, checks back in the ball game, replacing Dahlke. There's Gene Smithson, the MTXC towel draped over his left shoulder. And he's got to be thinking, finally, maybe this is the night I pick up number 150.
They're really taking the ball to the hole. That's just, you know, you're going to get fouled or you're going to make the bucket just about most of the times that you do this.
Bart Frederick just back in the game. That quickly has his 4th foul.
Well, he doesn't have the mobility, as we talked about before, that he's going to need to play major college basketball, but he also looks like he's a little heavy to me. He's going to be a big force in there with his bulk, if nothing else.
Well, Gary Garner having to go a little further down the bench now. Number 12, Duck Lampy, is in the ball game for the first time. A 6'2 junior out of Epworth, Iowa. And you see Michael Morgan also back in the ball game. Remember, playing with 4 fouls, he'll replace Melvin Mathis. Gary Garner likes the depth he has this season, and his depth is better than last year, but I don't know that he has enough depth to counter the foul trouble he is in right now with 7:43 to go. White Prelo, looked like one of my putts. Score time. The Shocker women have defeated Western Illinois 76-59 as number 21 Dave Zing is back in the game. Another final. Creighton at home defeats Tulsa 48-46. Tony Baroni said he was going to get somebody before the year was over. He got the Golden Hurricane. Dwight Prelo got the second. That'll give him 11 points.
Well, when you held Tulsa to 46 points, you played some D.
Illinois State has defeated the Salukis 77-53. And if you missed it earlier, Indiana State over West Texas 64-46. Here it's David Miller. Missing no good. Santos, a nice defensive board. 7:20 to go in this one. And the Shockers, Tom, for the first time this season, have scored 60 points in a Valley game. How about that?
With 7:20 left.
Oh, Hill, and now they've got 62.
Gene likes what he's seeing in this zone. Well, I think one reason is because it's taken Drake an awful long time to get their shots off. And when you're behind by as many points as they are, you can't afford this.
Michael Morgan lost it. Flipped it out to Lampy, who fed Frederick, who hit it. Finally, the first 2 of the night for the big guy. Frederick led his high school team in South Dakota to a pair of state championships, but really was not that highly recruited. Gary Garner's glad to have him. Gus working on the big guy. Double team, triple team. Decided, I'm getting out of here. Good decision.
Real good decision, because he was going to make his move and go to the basket, thought better of it.
Clintz. White Prelo. Lou Hill from about 18. He nailed it. 6 points for Lou. Shockers lead it by 24. My goodness. 6:05 to go. Lampy, first shot of the night. Hello, Doug Lampy. Last year, an honorable mention junior college All-American. Looks like a fairly competent shooter.
He also looks like he's about 16 years old.
Radunovic. Ball of 21 years old. He has 17 points. For the game now, the Shockers at an even 50% from the field. Dwight Fralo knocked it out to Dave Zing.
They really got Drake spread out.
That's a walk on Michael Morgan. Everybody had that call. You, me, Gene Smithson, and Woody Mayfield. And Woody, a smile over to Rick Shore saying, I finally got one, didn't I?
Rick's been telling him he should have been calling that for the last 10 minutes. That's nice to have some fun, isn't it?
Yeah, put 20 more minutes on the board. This has been fun. Barmore, yeah! Died on the rim and went down. 4 points for Clint. And the Shockers are making it a lapper. They're in the 2-3 zone now. Whoa.
Man.
Doug Lampe lights up the Lampe. He's got 4.
He must not be able to do that all the time. There must be something going to that.
Timeout, Wichita State. Gene Smithson stopping the clock with 4:50 to go. Maybe now he'll begin to work a few subs in the game. We'll see. The Shockers lead it 68-44. To Levitt Arena. Shockers lead it big, 68-44 with only 4:50 remaining to play in this ball game. Tom, we mentioned that for 13 straight games coming into this when the Shockers have shot less than 50% from the field, but if they can maintain that pace for the next 4 minutes and 50 seconds, that's another streak that'll finally go down the tubes.
Yeah, a lot of times it's hard to do in a game that is a blowout. You know, you tend to do it, but the way the Shockers are showing the great patience that they've had tonight, they should be able to do that. I don't know how much Gene will substitute. It's been so long. You know, I'm sure he wants to give these guys that good feeling. He does have Gary Cundiff in and Ted Williams.
And Ted Williams. And number 42, Dave Schmidt, is also in for the first time for Drake. Teddy turns and got the 2. 4 points for the freshman out of Chester, PA. The attendance tonight, 6,114. Better than I expected.
Yeah, I really did expect after the way it's been going, there would be a lot less people. The people that came got their money's worth.
Doug Lampe, number 12. Remember, he's the hot shot from way outside. Melvin. That's the problem. He's been shooting too close all night.
Right. Move back, Melvin.
5 points for Mathis. 3:50 to go. The Shockers lead it 70-46. The last time the Shockers scored as many as 60 points in the K-State ball game, all the way back on January the 6th. And you go back even further to January the 2nd when they scored 78 against Abilene Christian.
Every chance of doing that tonight.
Shockers with 70 right now and 3:25 to go. Another quick reminder, we'll name the Red Barons Electronics Player of the Game immediately following tonight's game, which is fast approaching.
I was just thinking about that. It's going to be kind of hard to do. A couple players have had great games. Sasha and Gus mostly.
They'll get the hacksaw out. We'll saw the plaque in half. Lampe trying to keep it alive. Gus did, but popped it out to Frederick, and Gus still right on it. Off Lou Hill, Drake ball, 2:51 to go.
The zone's been really effective. It has kept Drake from getting the ball inside and has forced them to take a long time getting their shots up.
Well, more than just the zone itself, as Dave Schmidt pounds an air ball up there. And he'll hear about that from the students. I think it's been the combination. The fact you see one, then the other, just the changing looks. That makes it tough on an offensive team. Normore top of the key. Over the back, Santos, his 4th foul.
You know, he played with those 3 for a long time and didn't get himself in trouble now here until 2:25 left to go in the game when the issue has been decided.
Steve Grayer is in, replacing Gus, who's probably through. out with his 4 fouls, but another good ball game for Gus. 19 points unofficially.
Gus did especially well in the pivot tonight. He got those players. He got Frederick on his hip time and time again, and Mathis at times, and really just took it to him.
Melvin Mathis now with 6 points. I thought tonight Frederick had his fill not only of Gus but Radunovic as well. He just isn't quick enough to handle either one of those 2 players.
I think that he really is going to have the tools for Garner, though. You got to remember he's only a freshman.
7 points for Mathis. He checks out of the game. That's probably the last we'll see of him in Levitt Arena. As a senior, Doug Nauman, number 14, a junior out of Boone, Iowa, has checked in the ball game. .2:15 to go. Gary Cundiff feeding Lou. Rick Shore questioning that pass by Gary Cundiff in a rather amusing way. You ready? Dave Zing. First 2 of the night for him.
Too bad he'll never make the pros. Some of those guys they have fun.
Well, the guy at the Spectrum would have a blast. Too bad he only averages 9/10 of a point a game. But that's the way it goes. Teddy Williams. Thought they might have had the up and down, but they let him play. And Ted ended up with his 6th point of the night.
Gary Garner thought so, too. He's giving Ron Spitler an earful.
Nice pass inside to number 42, Dave Schmidt. First 2 of the night for the freshman out of, well, now I've done it, Maquoketa, Iowa. Close enough.
I told myself I wasn't going to pronounce that one.
Well, I started it before I looked at the sheet. No basket there. The foul stopping the clock with 1:20 to go. Dwayne Prelo now in the ball game for the Shockers. That foul is on Teddy Williams, his 3rd.
Over the back of Frederick. Take a look down the road, Mark, and the Shockers have another home game coming up on Saturday night when they take on Indiana State here, and then one quick road trip to Southern Illinois, a game that if they play well, they certainly ought to be able to win. Then West Texas State and Tulsa back here after that.
Bart Frederick, 69% free throw shooter. Blue Hill in control, and we'll play the final minute 15. That's a walk. Drake ball with 1:02 to go. Smithson signaling for the zone. Shockers have turned it over tonight 10 times. Oh, what is with Doug Lampy? 6 points for the junior college transfer. Only 40 seconds to go. Greer spun out. Williams kept it alive for Steve Greer. First 2 of the night for Steve, the freshman out of Macon, Georgia. 30 seconds to go. Nauman.
Man, Gary's going to wonder why he didn't play these guys all night.
Fortunately, only 20 seconds left. Oh, he went for a rare alley-oop. Haven't seen that much from the Shockers. Greer not quite there. 13 seconds to play. A whistle and a foul on Clint Normore, I do believe. The clock stopped with only 11 seconds to play.
Gene says don't foul. Guys, look at the scoreboard.
Third foul on Clint. Dave Zing at the line. 3 points now for him. A second-team All-State selection in high school, the state of Wisconsin. Played 25 games as a freshman last year for Drake, so he's got some seasoning. But this will do it. 9 seconds, 8, 7.
It's right by your feet. You got to kick it.
That's okay. Actually, I should have grabbed it because Lampy was trying to get a hold of it. We don't want him with the ball. But he'll shoot it anyway. 1 second. And guess what? It's finally over. The 8-game losing streak has come to an end, and for the first time since January the 4th, the Wichita State Shockers are a winner. A month of frustration has finally gone by the boards, and a happy crowd heads for the exit. The final tonight, Wichita State 74, Drake 58. The Shockers go to 9-11, 2-7 in the Valley. Drake 14-6, 6-3 in Valley play. Their 4-game winning streak is snapped. Back in a minute to name the Red Barons Electronics Player of the Game and wrap it up right after this. Wichita State a winner is 74-58. If I had to pick a play of the game, Tom, I think I'd go for this one. Remember the block by Cedric Coleman, and it'll be Radunovich down at the other end. And our Red Barons Electronics players of the game tonight are Sasha Radunovich and Gus Santos. For Gus tonight, 19 points, 8 rebounds. Sasha, 17 points and 6 rebounds. And a $100 scholarship will be awarded in their names to the General Student Body Scholarship Fund here at WSU. Our congratulations to both Gus and Sasha, and our thanks again to Red Barons Electronics for providing those scholarship funds. And you get the feeling that the second time through the Valley might be a little more enjoyable than the first time through.
Well, you could certainly say that from tonight's game. Tonight was the best overall. I mean, maybe I'm not remembering the beginning of the season, but I think tonight was the best overall game I've seen from the Shockers this year. They just played everything the way that they had to do it. They came out, they took excellent shots, mostly getting the ball inside a lot to Gus and Sasha, and then they played the great defense that kept Drake from taking the kind of shots that they wanted to take, and got that really low field goal percentage out of a team that has been shooting very well from the floor.
What do you think the difference was tonight? Do you think the Shockers finally just hit rock bottom and said, hey, we're better than this?
Well, I think it took something like that. I'm sure people have been asking you as much as they've been asking me, what's wrong with those guys? And I keep saying, hey, I don't know. I don't think they know. It's all been a mental thing. Maybe they finally got it in their minds tonight that this wasn't going to happen. Now, I will say that right at the beginning of the game, everything went well. Everything went crisp and sharp, and then, once it catches, and it catches fire with a couple of layers, well, then it can begin to be contagious. Just like losing can be contagious, so can doing well.
And also, for the first time in recent memory, the Shockers did put together 40 good minutes of basketball. You saw it coming with a half here and a half there, but tonight, 2 halves back-to-back, and the Shockers, as you see, win it big as a result. We'll take one more time out. We're coming back, though, to check the final stats and preview the ball game Saturday. Stay tuned. Levitt Arena, again, the good news. Shockers win this one big, 74-58, to snap the 8-game dry spell. And, Tom, we've got the official, unofficial final stats. Of course, Bill Matus, though, he's always right in the ballpark, so we'll take these to the bank. Wichita State does indeed unofficially shoot 50% from the field, and again, that snaps a 13-game streak in which they had shot less than 50% from the field.
I think more importantly, they hold Drake to 42%. They just forced those shots that weren't any good all night. In fact, the only reason Drake shot 42% is because Miller got really hot from way outside at the end. He wasn't making exactly high percentage shots. And then the Shockers once again shot 10 more free throws than Drake, and they made 10 more. And so, they were, and that's because they were using their aggressiveness and taking the ball to the board. They got a lot of those fouls on players driving to the basket. And they converted, shot really well from the line at almost 77%. Really dominated the boards. The turnovers were a little bit higher than they were at the halftime, but still, when you hold yourself under 15, you're all right.
Yeah, most of those turnovers for the Shockers coming in the second half. They had very few in the first half, and really they put the game on ice as it turned out. Scoring-wise, as we mentioned, Gus with 19, Radunovich 17, and Dwight Pralo with 11. So 3 Shockers in double figures. And for Drake, Miller with 13 to lead them, Dahlke with 10 off the bench, and Melvin Mathis only 7. So the Shockers, in many ways, and just about always, really showing signs of finally having this thing turned around. Now, can they sustain it? Indiana State comes in here Saturday night for another ball game. Of course, they feature John Sherman Williams. He is a senior finally. He continues to lead the Sycamores, although they got a good ball game from a guy by the name of Jeff McComb. He really hurt the Shockers in Terre Haute in what was, in that losing streak, one of the Shockers' poorest performances. They really owe the Sycamores one.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to remember that. They're going to remember McComb. They've been seeing him probably in their nightmares, the game that he had against him. If they can maintain what they did tonight, they can certainly beat Indiana State, though.
We'll have that one for you Saturday night. We'll see you then. Until then, for Tom Heaps, as we said, Bill Manus on the stats, Shelley Smith and our fine crew, Mark Allen saying goodnight from Levitt Arena, with the Shockers win it by a final of 74-58. Good night. We'll see you Saturday.
Shocker Basketball has been brought to you in